I am now, I think, 3 for 3 on messing up my live settings, but I think I'm getting better. I think I'm getting better at it. So we're going to give this one another go. I just recorded an 11-minute video. I'm going to see if I can shrink this up a little bit, but I will tell you that if you're using buyer personas inside your organization as a primary way to engage with your market or lead your sales team in from an outreach perspective, I think you're doing it wrong. I think buyer personas are well, they're trash. They're fictional beings. They are manufactured avatars that are created inside organizations so that you can communicate more broadly with people. And when I think of buyer personas, I think of a lot of the stuff that we see in movies. Again, fictional beings, avatars, things that we create. The problem with these fictional beings is they also have fictional problems. They don't have real problems. They have problems that have been manufactured by somebody. And then when we engage with people and we try to search for these fictional problems, we get ourselves into situations where we might confuse things. So I've got a better way. And this is, if you've been following me for a while, this is one of those things that I've talked about for a period of time. And I get some people pretty frustrated with it, but in my experience, it actually works and it accelerates speed to impact. So we're going to talk about the difference between, well, we're going to talk about a better way to do this. We're going to talk about ideal customer profile. And just to, I guess, reinforce the idea behind ideal customer profile or remind people about what an ideal customer profile is, we'll start at an organization level. That's traditionally where people will start. So this was the first version. Mixing in a little bit of Whiteboard Wednesday with a live stream of a podcast as I'm testing more with YouTube. So let's talk about ICP. If we want to go ahead and identify who our ICP is, our ideal customer profile at an organization level, for me, it starts with some statements of clarity. Here's an example. Let's say that I am focused on companies that are based in the US. So from an ICP perspective, draw a line down my sheet of paper or a whiteboard if you have one at home, and US. So they're either not in the US or they are in the US. If they are in the US, they fall on this side of the line. If they're not in the US, they fall on this side of the line and I ignore them. They're not part of my ICP. I make a decision. I cut them off. I'm trying to not boil the ocean. So US-based companies greater than 50 people. Let's say that we are focused on US-based companies that have more than 50 people in. If you have less than 50 people inside your organization, you are not part of this ICP. Again, we're cutting off, making decisions, cutting off. Next one, let's say we want less than, let's call it 200 people. Now, that might change a little bit over time, but just for the purpose of this exercise, let's say we want companies that are greater than 50, one, less than 200. So we've got our 0 over here, our 0 over here, we've got our 1, and we're working on shrinking down the area of focus. That's the point of doing territory planning and identifying target accounts and being really focused on the work that we do. Okay, this is an organization level. So at the organization level, now let's get in here and be a little bit creative about where we're going to test. Maybe we want to test in healthcare. So it's companies that are in healthcare with fewer than 200 people, more than 50 people, and based in the US. Now, why do I put this one over here? Because now I can test. I can do these first searches, limit my area of focus, and then I can start to test in specific verticals. Maybe healthcare is one of the verticals. Maybe ed tech is another vertical, and maybe AR, VR is another vertical. I don't know. Inside your organization, you'll know what your ICP is. You'll know who you're focused on. Ultimately, what we're doing is we're just cutting off everybody else so that we have areas to focus, areas to focus, areas to focus. This is an exercise to avoid boiling the ocean. think a lot of people are familiar with this. This is where your territory account, your target account list should come from. If there are 2 million companies in the total in the U.S., and there are of those half are greater than 50 people, so a million, and of those maybe 20% of them have less than 200. I don't know. Go through, do your numbers, do your searches. You can put these searches into Sales Nav. You can put them into some of the other paid services that are out there, like Cognism and Zoom Info and Seamless and all the other ones that are out there. And you can set up specific searches, Boolean searches, to limit your scope so you're focused on specific accounts. That's, again, ICP, ideal customer profile, at an organization level. Get ready to get your mind blown. The same process applies when talking about this at an individual level. Okay, so ICP at an org level, let's talk about it at an individual level. Now, again, my challenge with buyer personas is we put together these personas based on fictional beings, and fictional beings don't have problems. Real people have problems. We don't have to manufacture real problems for real people. So how do we find those real people who have real problems? Well, we can do another set of searches. So the first search we might run into is person has been in the organization for greater than 90 days, plus 90 days. Again, 0, 1. And less than 180 days. So they're in that critical 3 to 6 month period. 3 months in, they kind of get a sense for what the world looks like inside the organization. 6 months in, they probably are already set in their ways. So we want to meet them in this time period. This is just an example, but this is ICP at an individual level. We can search for people who've been in a role for greater than 90 days and set a cap of less than 180 days. The next thing we want to do is, we said companies that are based in the US. Maybe we want our people to also be based in a specific geographic region. Let's say we're focused on the Northeast, or we're focused on, because it's important for us to get out there and meet with people. I don't know, you come up with your next line of clarity. For me, my next line of clarity is that my next line of clarity is that they are 90 days, 180 days. This is the thing about doing some of this stuff live. I'm actually going to use geography. So why don't we say that they are based in the Northeast? So Northeast, we'll give them some kind of specific areas. Let's say Greater Phoenix area. So Greater Phoenix area, that might make things really, really small. So now I've got people who are inside an organization more than 90 days, less than 180 days, and they're in the Phoenix metropolitan area. What do I do on these other horizontal lines? Well, these horizontal lines are where I'm going to start adding in specific roles. Let's say they're the COO inside the organization, CFO inside the organization, and CRO inside the organization. Again, all searches that I can do inside LinkedIn, Zoom Info, Cognism, etc. But what I've got now is an ICP at an individual level, not some manufactured person who is, whatever. When I put these things together and I overlap an ICP for both org and ICP for individual, I can get very, very, very narrowly focused on where I'm going to put time, energy, and attention. And this is where I think things like identifying your ICP at an org and an individual level can become really helpful for you as business leaders, as new founders, as sales leaders inside your organization, as sales reps, as you go through your territory planning, to become really, really focused and start cutting off all of the noise. And the cool part about it is we can add and statements or statements in these searches to really help keep that focus narrow and very targeted. when we test in a narrow and targeted way, we can learn quickly and determine, do we want to continue to test that way, or do we need to change our approach? Come at me if you don't agree with this. But I think ICPs are significantly better than buyer personas. And if you want to debate that, give me a call. Maybe we do a podcast episode and we can talk about the mistakes that I've made in this process. But I think this is a super simple way to go about figuring out your staying focused on your ICP, both at an individual and an organization level. And I think it will help you grow your business. It'll help you communicate better with customers and help you say no to the people that you should be saying no to. Thank you.